Hello, everyone. Thank you for coming. We're going to call James. James. Hello. All right, it's my fault. We're going to call to order the meeting of the Sanborn Regional School Board. Let us welcome Larkham first in order to initiate the pledge. Yep. Let's stand for the pledge.
Did we call a meeting to order?
Yeah. Pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, so thank you, board, for taking let us help here for the time being. We have two students here. We have a fifth grader, Tilly, and we have fourth grader, Jacob, that's here to kind of give you an update. We have two focuses today for an update on Memorial, and that's cares and attendance. So we're going to start off with Tilly, who's going to kind of give you an update with what cares is at Memorial, also similar to what Vicky's is now. Memorial. We have some sheets on your desk that you'll reference. You go.
Memorial schools' core values as well as responsibility, and self-control. Parents will select the students receive the parent field by above and beyond one of these values. There's values are practiced in all areas of the school, like the class, hallways, cafeteria, classrooms, restrooms, and the playground. Our school takes great pride in these principles and believes we provide a strong foundation for student success.
Thank you, Tilly. So yeah, that's a good update about our care, and we're done with that. Next, we have someone with we have a proud trophy in his hand that's going to talk a little bit about that, but kind of some ideas of what we value as attendance. Cool. So you hold this for me.
Each trimester, we give our attendance certificate based on the following criteria. Gold award, 0 absences. Silver award, 1 absence. Bronze award, 2 absences. Additionally, our school holds a friendly competition for the Golden Eagle Award. This award is given to the class with the highest monthly attendance. The winning class earns the honor of displaying the Eagle Trophy in our class. The most recent recipient of this award is Mrs. Comar's class.
Are you in this?
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm late.
Nice. All right, well, thank you for the time. Just a little update on a couple things. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Eric? Missing.
Oh, yeah. Thank you. Do want to mention for the record that we are missing Jeremiah Nault and Heather Ingham this evening. So we're going to move on now to action on the minutes of 4/15/26 meeting. Would anyone like to action on those?
Make a motion to approve.
Discussion? All in favor? Unanimous? Those present? Okay. Manifest documents are being distributed now. And we're moving on to 4.2. We have no nominations. Dr. Dawson, resignations.
We have 4 resignations to announce tonight. Nicole McKenna will be leaving us. She's a 4th grade teacher. Finn Karen, a 3rd grade teacher, will also be moving on. And a middle school math interventionist, Julie Negrelli, and a math interventionist at the high school level, David Bielik, will also be resigning.
Okay. And Bob, how about we just move right into your report?
Yep, happy to do that. Wanted to first give you an update on open enrollment. It looks like, and I use that word advisedly, that open enrollment has been tabled for the time being. I think a couple of paragraphs from the Concord Monitor from, looks like that's during the week before vacation is when things kind of went down. And I'll kind of summarize it quickly. The 21 House Republicans broke with their party on Thursday and voted against the open enrollment plan, which created a very close vote, which laid the bill upon the table, which basically means it's still eligible to be taken off the metaphoric table, but for the time being, it usually means that bill is not going to pass that particular year. There's definitely a process for a conference to happen between the two and come up with a solution, or for those 21 members of the Republican Party to change their mind, or other people, of course, to do that and pull it back. But it looks like, and I'd have a meeting with superintendents tomorrow morning. I'll probably get a better update tomorrow morning with the Seacoast superintendents. But for right now, it's let's call it in a coma. It's not dead yet, but it's in a coma. That's the official term of the day. Mr. Houghton will be in the district on May 29th. We're putting together a schedule of him to go to the schools in the morning and kind of check the interior of the buildings out and get a feel for our school buildings, and also have a chat with me and the team at the SAU. Was told that the National Junior Honor Society last night inducted 35 new kids. I want to give a shout out to Mr. Osterloh, who's the advisor for that particular group, for putting together the ceremony. National Junior Honor Society is for our middle school students. And also a shout out to Dr. Trimper and Mrs. Chartier for their leadership of the middle school. And a big congratulations to those kids. And I'll just shout out one particular kid, the president of that group, the National Junior Honor Society, Isabella Beckman. It's a real honor for her to get that and move on to the high school next year to, I won't say bigger and better things, but to new things for them. It's Teacher Appreciation Week, and we want to give a shout out to not only our wonderful teachers across the district, but also the various booster and PTO organizations. And they had trail mix at, I believe the middle high school had the trail mix today. I'm getting nods from people over there. And I think it was wear your hiking gear to school, because Mrs. Cartier can't help herself but have a day like that, which I love. So we want to give a huge shout out to our teachers. And I heard something today that's also National School Nurses Day. So I want to give a shout out to them as well. And just a quick update on some end of the year things that are coming. We are going to have a schedule out to teachers relatively soon for not only the end of the year, but there's going to be 3 days that follow the end of the year for teachers to do some professional development and some celebrations of our retirees and people leaving the district and so forth. That'll be on the 15th, 16th, and 17th of June. Plans are well underway for our graduation celebration to be held in the gym on June 5th, which is always a wonderful night. And I want to give a thank you as well to the principals and the staff at all the schools who are working hard to make those end of the year events happen across the district. So there you go.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, so let's move on to subcommittee reports. Do we have any reports from subcommittee meetings that need to be?
I'll briefly talk about
Sure.
finance. We met tonight. Siemens is here at our request. He gave us a brief presentation during the meeting tonight, and they're going to present to the board as well on some much needed repairs to the Bakey building, and then some further information on this building as well. The subcommittee has made a recommendation to bring to the board for approval, which we'll get to in a little bit. We spoke about year-end balances, which we're going to talk about tonight. And I think that's about it.
Any other reports?
No reports from the budget committee besides just an update that next week, the aggregate budget committee, including me as a representative of this group and all of the other stakeholders, have our organizational meeting next week. So perhaps more to say at our next board meeting.
Great.
13th beginning. Yes.
And that's 7:00 here in the library.
Okay, great. It looks like our student council representative is,
Yeah, she's like 2 hours away and just,
oh,
she's really, really sorry.
Should we wait?
we could, yeah, we can.
No.
6:10.
Yeah.
I'm sure that whatever she's doing is important, so we will hear from her next time.
So, Mr. Chair, if you don't mind,
Yes.
I got a number of moves here.
Yep.
Suggest. There's two members of the board who aren't here tonight that have relevant information on 711 and 712 and will be required to have a board-only discussion in non-public
Mhm.
on those two matters. So I would ask that we probably move them to the next meeting since Heather and Jeremiah are not here.
Yep. Look
Then I
forward.
would then suggest that we take 7-3 out of order as 7-1 and keep 7-2 as is.
Sounds good to me. Mer-
Which one are we moving to?
So I would like to move 7.1 to next time
Okay.
and make what is currently 7.3 the new 7.1.
Ah,
Is Dan here yet? Oh,
Hey, it's 6:10, 6:15. Perfect.
he's still wet.
So Marie, if you wouldn't mind going sooner than anticipated,
no. And I was
or whomever.
wondering if Dan was going to end up. So at this point, looking at the end of year numbers, and looking at what we still have to spend through the end of the fiscal year, there's 3.1 million in excess funds that we would like to at least have a conversation with what we can use the money for in moving forward. I know we do want to give some back to the taxpayers, but didn't know if there was some, what?
Most.
Yeah.
0.1, you said?
Yes.
And when we say 3.1, we mean that if we paid our expenses as anticipated between now and the end of the year, that's what would be left over.
Correct.
Okay.
And then we have a spreadsheet also in order of priority of what we would like to use the end of funds for. And but two things I would like to add. And I did start to speak with it last week at Facility and Finance was Christine DeRocher in curriculum was able to get 5 years of teacher consumables and teacher books for reading, math, and science. And if we could use 150,000 of, well, actually, the 150,000 is already out of that 3.1 on my total here. But it would be a huge savings because she went back and spoke to the vendors and gave her a really good deal to get 5 years worth of materials and consumables. For math, science, it's linked in, yes. Should be under end of year funds.
In the,
Whereas normally we purchase those things annually and
Yes.
instead we're purchasing 5 years at a time.
Yeah.
there's no link on the agenda.
I just shared the project priorities list
Oh, okay.
with you guys. And you probably want to look at the second tab on the bottom, pick and choose.
But it was linked in the.
Yeah, I
Isn't
have
linked
it.
in the
and
agenda?
Was it linked in there?
Yeah,
It might have been linked in there, yeah.
it should be on the agenda.
This one's
Okay.
easier to read.
Sure is.
Okay.
We have it. Okay.
And part of the other amount that the ask or the wants would be for Chromebooks and laptops. We want to purchase 200 more Chromebooks so that we can rotate for the ninth graders when they come up. So we always have a fresh rotation. And that would be 64,000. So the 150 and the 64,000 is already out of the 3.1 million that I just had told you.
So it's really closer to 3.3
Yes,
without that.
yes.
And Gordon reports that the Chromebook prices have been bouncing around like a yo-yo. So he's had as high as like $695 and as low as I think he's at under 300 now, or
300.
a little over 300. So he's locked in and hoping to be able to get those now so that we can get ahead of the game on the price changes that we're looking at.
Mm-hmm.
Did we not add a technology line? Or are we just still pulling from the
No.
funds from the rental?
No, we still have the technology line.
What's the balance of that?
I don't know off the top of my head. I'd have to, I can get back to you on that. I just don't.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I think I'd like to know, like what the balance is of the
Mhm.
technology line.
Yep.
It's coming in rental, because I know we've been using a lot of the rental fees, or the rental, payments for the technology. So I think I'd just like some answers on that.
Right, with facility use revolving.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So the way this list is organized, you can see everything on the first tab listed by order of priority. Okay.
So all projects tab is set up to print, basically.
Mhm.
The second one is designed to potentially go through and sort of check boxes off, and then
Mhm.
everything calculates
I gotcha.
as to how much you've spent up in the top right corner.
Oh,
Yeah, I'm nerdy like that.
yeah, it's nice.
And the boiler pump for the top one on the list.
Yeah, we're going
we've
to talk
already
about.
discussed,
We
yes.
discussed that,
Yeah.
right?
And the same with the RTU.
Yep.
Yep.
I'm not sure I understand entirely how we approach this kind of like this is a good update.
Mm-hmm. I mean, you could look at it later after the fact and then reach back out if you have any other questions, or Dan can
Yeah,
give a little.
Yeah, I mean,
my understanding that this, Dan, correct me if I'm wrong. And what I saw in the SAU office the last time I was there, this is sort of like the punch list that was up on the board.
Correct.
Okay.
But then we put it in order of priority.
Mhm.
We were triaging.
mhm.
Yes, so that is correct. So that is what's been hanging in my office for quite a while.
Mhm.
And what we did is we reorganized a list according to what I feel is priority within facilities as far as where we're spending our money. So that's kind of where we're at with the list at this point.
And just for the public's knowledge, the list total, and not everything has a fee on it, is $22,640,000. That includes $12 million of rooftop units, right? So you take that out, you're still looking at $10 million
lift.
of required repair to buildings, right? That don't all have to be done today. I just want to put it in perspective, that it's a large amount. It's a large amount of work. And Dan and his team have mitigated expenses for a number of years, doing a great job keeping the buildings in the condition. So thank you, Dan, and to the team.
Mhm.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I think that there's probably, I mean, at some point there's a, I guess from a procedural standpoint, there's a motion that someone will make at a meeting to take on certain projects for certain amounts of money to be taken from year-end funds, if that's the way somebody wants to make a motion. Right? Am I correct about that?
I believe so.
Yeah.
I mean, so
And
that,
in full transparency, we're going to be making a motion tonight to do something at Bakey that we're going to make a recommendation that comes from year-end funds.
right.
I am not prepared to review and approve any of other things on this list at this time. I am prepared to make a motion on the Bakey property.
Yeah. So I think that we'll need to sort of absorb this list and think about it apart from that, the other motion.
How can we, excuse me, at the office help you guys, help the board? That sounds very casual.
Yeah.
To more better. I'm really cooking here on this statement. Understand what these needs are. Would it help to have like an itemized kind of list of, like there's fixed concrete loading dock? Would it be better to have photographs of that and really kind of lay it out for the first, say, 20 items on the list? Because I'm not sure we're going to be able to get too much deeper than
Yeah,
that.
no, for me, where the rubber hits the road isn't in justifying or explaining any of these things.
Mhm.
It's balancing what I think a reasonable expectation is to return to taxpayers to stabilize tax rates, knowing the situation with the economy, but also, balancing that with certain needs that are true needs
Mhm.
in a more immediate versus long-term capacity. So I think it's really about thinking about what is the appropriate amount of money to insist that we give back to taxpayers and insist that what it's spent on. Honestly, I trust Dan and you all to spend it.
Mm.
Yeah, I think that's totally right, Micah. I think that we should set a target percentage rate of end of year funds to return to the taxpayers. And as Rick, I've heard you say multiple times, and I know we all agree, that number should be as high as possible.
Mhm.
And how we get there, I think, is looking at this list, right, and determine, hey, what are the things that must be done? Because if they are not done, they will either reduce our ability to educate and run the district,
Maybe that.
or
Yeah.
increase it exponentially in costs when they inevitably need to be done in a
Right.
1 to 2 year time frame. That's how I would think about it.
I also think it would be helpful to know, kind of to Rick's point about the line item for tech, right? If there are other areas of the budget where a line item wasn't fully spent and could be appropriately linked to anything on this list.
Well, that's pretty much what the bottom line is the leftover funds.
Right.
Yes.
And so then that's a different story in
Mhm.
terms of what we return to taxpayers or not, in terms of like this essentially was already budgeted for and can be justified under this line.
Yeah, and that's what I'm careful what I say. We had Gordon come in and present a plan a number of years ago, maybe 2.
Yeah.
About cycling
Yep.
our Chromebooks. We approved that plan. I haven't seen a change like request. And this is the first I've heard that now we're going to buy more because of what reason? Because we're getting more students? Like, I
Well,
I
no,
can't.
they have an end of life also, but I can't speak for Gordon.
Yeah, no, I think that's on that specific request. That's what I would need. I would need
Okay.
that person to come in and explain, because I've already approved his plan and his plan made sense.
Mhm.
And this whole, excuse me, you two weren't here respectfully, but the other board members, I think you were here, Ken. And it was a good plan and it was solid. And if it's changed, that's fine, but I can't justify giving money unless I've heard why.
Okay.
Right? Does that make sense?
Yeah, and there was I think it was either expressly said or implied that the technology line item covered that plan.
Yeah.
Right.
But it sounds like the plan has changed. Like we're doing something different for 9th graders or something. So I just don't understand. That's all.
All right. I have to go back and read that
Yeah,
plan.
no
'Cause I
worries.
wasn't
Yeah.
aware.
Yeah.
I-
So Bob, to your question, I think that's the kind of clarity we need, because
Yeah.
there's, and I'm just going to say this for myself. I was part of approving upgrades to an auditorium that I was told at that time that it would generate revenue and we'd be able to rent it and we'd be able to do things, and I voted for it. And we've seen no major return on investment besides the kids using it.
Yep.
And the concerts that we have. But all the reasons that I heard to approve that didn't happen. Right. So I'm going to be very cautious on approving anything.
Heard. I mean, I think
And I know there's like 61 items.
Yeah.
Some sort of priority. Hard, but that I don't want to pick an arbitrary number, but if we're going to return $1 million to the taxpayers and you prioritize 200.
This is in order of priority.
So this is.
Yes.
On
In order.
Yes.
All right. But sometimes you look at, do I do $1.5 million thing, or do I do $150,000 things? Those are the kinds of decisions that I think have to be made too, or looked at.
Yeah. Like
You could blow the whole thing
Yeah.
on one item, but
like, for example, the third item is to fix the concrete loading dock. That's been on this list since I joined the board. All right. It's $5,000. I think we've nursed it enough. Right. And now it's probably a safety concern.
Your workers' comp claim is going to be a lot more
Yeah,
than
right.
5,000.
So I'm saying, like, it's third on the list. It's low money and compared to Great Point workers' comp claim or anything else, and safety of our staff. So like, that's probably something right. But I know that Kathleen may not know that, right?
Right.
So I think, I don't know how we accomplished, educating the entire, and I'm looking at you, Dan, right? Because you're the guy to do it. You have all the knowledge of what's on this list, but I think, it would probably be helpful for Dan to spend some time with the new board members at least, and everybody, like probably all of us, and we go through this list.
Who are these facilities once again? So
Yeah.
you guys.
Probably a good idea.
Great idea.
Maybe we do that at our next board meeting.
Can we just decide to do that and move this along?
Sounds like we already did.
When, Ben?
Yeah,
Date and time.
the next board meeting. I mean, can we start with a tour?
I
Okay,
don't
can
see why
we-
not.
Expensive, so you're gonna have to allow yourself some time. Jumping to 4 different buildings.
Yeah. I guess let's take a look at
Big-
the agenda, the upcoming agenda.
Yeah.
But yeah, to answer your question, it's important. Yeah. Because I started with it. I think my first couple meetings was with a
Mhm.
tour, and it was very helpful.
Okay, so let's, on this, I gotta get back to the agenda. Mm. Okay, so on the subject of year-end funds, we're gonna do this tour. We're going to, I think even though the list is already in priority, but it would be great, Dan, to, like the concrete loading dock, there are some of these items that have this inverse proportion of low cost and high risk to not doing it. I imagine those are the ones at the top, but like, painting something versus versus a safety hazard, right?
Right.
So we could hammer all that out when we talk and when we tour things.
Sure. Hence the reason, like the second item there is a pickup truck.
Right.
Need a new truck to push snow. I mean, if we don't have it, we don't open school.
Right.
And we have to order that because the trucks that they're building now are 2027s. And if we don't order it now, we're not going to get it for the winter. So that's why that's high priority there. So
When does this decision have to be made by? I mean, obviously we don't want to we want to give you time to do the actual work as well,
Well,
but
as far as the truck goes, the deadline was May 1st. So we rolled it past that. So now there's going to be an increase in pricing for the new model years on that.
I just mean generally speaking, when we have to make
End of
this
the fiscal year.
end of the
because then
fiscal year, right?
We have to encumber the
We got,
funds
yeah.
to
Right.
roll them to the following year.
And what meeting is that?
17th.
June 17th would be the
So we have,
last.
our next meeting's the 20th.
Yep.
Next meeting's the 20th. I will not be here on the 20th.
Okay, that could be because we're not going to do a facilities and finance meeting.
Right.
So that maybe we start
Oh.
a little earlier and we do it.
Do a tour.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
We don't have any subcommittee meetings for that week,
right. Maybe we cancel those.
as long as nothing's going to get pushed, right? Like,
Yeah.
Mhm.
Start at Memorial like 5:30, maybe something like that.
Or
earlier.
Five.
I think we'd have to take a poll of everybody, but
I can toss it out to everybody easily
Yeah.
enough and put it together. I figure we start the night we can end up here.
I
Yep.
would say
And I don't know, I have to also find out if that's technically a board meeting or whether that can be.
We could go in two groups. You know what I mean?
Yeah, we're three.
or
or
we can
three or
start-
however.
Right? Can't we?
You can start it anywhere.
Oh, it could be,
End it
then it
here.
is a meeting.
Yeah, I'll ask if it can be a non-meeting. I don't know if it has to be a meeting or
Okay.
that sort of thing. Like when you guys get together for graduation,
Right.
something like that. I just don't know what the rules are. I'll find out.
So let's do that. And the goal will be to come up with some kind of rubric that we will apply that says we want to return this much to taxpayers. We think that given what we've seen, this is an appropriate amount to encumber for these projects. And then work with Dan and the team to do that. Okay.
That's perfect.
We'll do that next time. Okay. Moving on. What? Oh, so now that was the new 7.1.
Yes.
So now 7.2, a relevant item, the Siemens presentation on the rooftop units for the Bakey School. We welcome our friends from Siemens. We're probably going to project, so we might want to reposition
Yes.
ourselves.
Hey guys,
Hello.
I have 2 copies. I think they're in your packets, but I have a few extras. And then we'll also put it up on the screen for the group.
Thank you.
I'm going to move out there so I can see.
Thank you.
I'm all set. Thank you. Oh, right. Is the remote control?
Oh, lights.
Yeah. Do you wanna, so like,
James, you got the lights?
Yeah, I get the lights. I'm really good at it.
oh, there we go.
Is the projector on though?
Oh,
You
great
get-
question.
You have to, twice.
Twice.
Got it.
I think it's on.
You see a light?
Yes.
Yep.
Run away, run away.
I see the light.
Follow.
Right. How do I do? What?
didn't see the plan that he's.
Project with notes. Slideshow. Oh, wait a minute. Yeah.
And then hit that. And then starting. Maybe it's the other one.
Nope.
Hit that one.
While they're getting set up, some feel good stuff here, guys. Okay. Because I'm always doom and gloom. You know that. So we compared our April energy bill to last year's April energy bill based on the LED lighting. And last April, we used over 35,000 fewer kilowatt hours. Significant difference in our energy consumption. So obviously it's just a small piece of the information we have based on what happened last year, but already we're seeing a huge reduction in our energy costs.
Super weird.
Or I should say our kilowatt usage. I don't want to confuse the two terms because energy prices are going up. So we're paying the same, but it's just our kilowatt usage has gone down. So that is significant. So just so you know.
Both like the slide and the note. That's what we were putting back.
No, I wish.
Use presenter view. So you should be able to see this. Yeah. So you're in
You're not
good
presenting.
shape.
You're not presenting.
Yeah,
But
but
I'm
you're
not
in good
presenting.
shape.
Go on
And when
presentation.
chill out, man. You're gonna see this, and when you go into present mode, it'll show that. But because you're in the right settings, but because it's only one screen, it's confusing.
So I need to.
Everyone watching at home or listening,
Percentage.
working through some technology issues with the presentation. Just so you know, we have a line item for technology, but we can't get the projector to work.
Theoretically.
It's coming. No, it's a user error. There we go. We got it. Okay.
Show presenter view. Ah, cheers.
Did,
Thank
huh?
you. Okay. All right, Dan, do you want me to kick off? Ready to go? Okay. All right. Hi, everyone. My name is Ava Trentham. I am here with Siemens and my team. I have Colleen, our energy engineer, project developer, and Brian Rancourt, who is our project manager. So the three of us are going to tag team this presentation. There's a couple new faces. You don't know me yet. I don't know you, but I figured we'd give you some background on what we've been doing for the last couple years, which is crazy that it's been that long. So today we're going to talk about a couple things. I titled this presentation Past, Present, and Future because we're going to give you an update on the phase 1 project that is almost complete, presently what we're working on developing, and then futuristically what we would like to help the district with. So again, pretty quick overview. So I met Dan at a facilities conference in May of 2024. Again, this is just a quick timeline to give you a little bit of an idea of our relationship and history. But we responded to an RFQ that SAU 17 put out in December of 2024, and it was for an energy services company partner. We officially won that RFQ in February, and after development or walkthroughs, development, a bunch of crunching numbers, and finally deciding on a project, we ended up with a budget neutral project. So meaning that it was not taxpayer funded, everything was basically paid for by energy savings. In October, we signed most recently in October of 2025. And just so, yeah. Yes, yeah, sure. Absolutely. Yeah. So an RFQ is a request for qualification. So when we had responded to this request for qualification, it was basically the school just saying, hey, we're looking to have a partner. We know that we have a bunch of deferred maintenance. We have a capital improvement plan that we would really like some help on developing and putting some projects together. We're not really qualified as a school district to do everything. So we would like to have an ESCO, ESCO, or energy services company partner to help accompany us. So it's basically from this point forward, we're partners. We do our projects together. We're a part of your board presentations. Our scope of work kind of varies, but anytime that you guys need help with bidding stuff out or need access to an architect and engineering firm or anything mechanically related, we're kind of soup to nuts, the ones that can help you out there. So it's a mutual partnership. Last board meeting, we actually gave a STEM check back to the school district, which was super awesome. The Sanborn Submariners are going to use it for their upcoming meet. So there's a lot that goes into it, not just us saying, hey, sign on the dotted line. We want you to be contracted with us. And I think that's the only other acronym up there. So just for the two new people on the board, this is kind of an overview of what performance contracting is and really what Siemens specialty is. So before a project, before improvements, you have your maintenance costs and your energy costs. So like any school, any facility, any home, you have to maintain your building or your home, you have energy costs associated. However, after doing a project with us, you still have those maintenance costs, you still have some energy costs, but what makes up the difference is what we call utility cost reallocation. So rather than paying the utility company X number of dollars, you're reinvesting that back into your school. This is a very rudimentary illustration, but you kind of get the idea. So with phase one, and Brian's going to take the mic from me in a sec, but the savings summary, if you will, was that this is a budget neutral project. So this project did not come out of your working school budget. It was totally paid for by projected energy savings. So total, we are estimating on saving $120,000 annually, which is what's paying for the project. But a bonus is that we were able to secure lighting and building envelope incentives. So lighting is LED lighting everywhere throughout the schools. And then the building envelope is what's sealing everything in. So we have, Brian's going to get into the details of this, but caulking around the windows, insulation of roof wall joints, we have some photos to show you. And yeah, it's better to look at it that way than me explain it. But overall, you got $226,000 in incentives from New Hampshire Saves. So that's free, quote unquote, free money that went back to you. Siemens didn't take any of it. It was a check directly back to the school, just incentivizing you to update your schools and keep them energy efficient. And as a total for energy cost savings, you're at 18%. That's conservative. We think you're probably going to overdrive that, but for right now, just after the project's been completed, you've already started saving money and energy. Brian?
Hello. So which buttons to advance right here?
Yep.
So the not so pretty items that we did for the school are building envelope. And that's basically we come in and we do an audit of all the, oh, sorry.
You can do all.
Okay, well, we'll talk about lighting first. So lighting, we do the same thing. We do an audit of all the facilities, and what we try to do is capture every single light that's in every single building. And it's a pretty long, tedious process. There's always rooms kind of hidden in the back of rooms that we don't capture. And, there's a lot of different nuances too that go on into it as well, we assume. For the most part, that the electrical wiring was done properly in the beginning. It's not always the case. Here we did find a few items that we did correct, and we worked with Dan too and the facility and the staff to kind of critique the lighting too as we went through the building. Like for instance, this one emergency light here, if anybody remembers, was over there and right above the screen, and one of the requests was to move this over here, and then the gym light was already LEDs, but what we didn't have was programming or a good program over at the gym. So working with the athletic director and Dan and some other staff members, we came up with a pretty good scenario of like, this is what it's going to look like for the dance. This is what it's going to look like when we introduce players and some other scenes there. I think overall, the school's been pretty happy with the results, and we're substantially complete. We've got the subcontractor back this week going through some other items, and one of the last things we're going to tackle are the very highlights here in the stairwell at the high school that we're going to bring in a specialty scaffolding contractor to get to.
I think the only thing to add is besides the economic savings, right?
Right.
And the lighting enhancements, there's benefits to the students and the staff because they were using just makeshift diffusers, sheets, putting them up on the lights to dim them and stuff. Right? Correct, Dan? Correct me if I'm wrong.
That's correct.
So we've eliminated all that makeshift work as well.
And it also eliminated our maintenance for the next 10 years as far as changing light bulbs and stuff.
Yeah, that was going to be my question, Dan or Brian. You have some great projected savings in here. Is that just electricity projected savings, or do you include labor savings, which are real, is on top of these numbers? Fantastic.
Yep. So a lot of these controllers you'll see on the wall here are programmable. Dan has the keys, and we've kind of set a base program across the school as far as scene 1 is 100%, scene 2 is 50%. And there's classrooms where we did have to do some specialty programs, especially classrooms with windows right there, and we do harvest natural daylight as well. And then, as I started to talk about, the not so glamorous world of building envelope. So it's the thing that nobody sees but has such a major impact on how buildings function and breathe. And when these buildings were constructed, different techniques and different standards were in play, and sometimes we'll find things that weren't maybe done properly in the first place. But what we do is an audit of all these buildings, and we kind of sweep through and see where are the gaps, literally where are the gaps, and what's missing, what can we add, and what's going to be the most beneficial. And a lot of times, it is the low-hanging fruit, if you will, blowing in insulation in the attic, sealing up joints that run along the perimeter of the buildings. We see a lot of times that those joints were never properly caulked, flashed, or sealed up. And then obviously we have your doors and windows that just over time, things get knocked off, get loose, doors get out of alignment, buildings shift, move. So what we try to do there is go through every door opening and make sure that they're back weather tight. So when it's blowing snow, you're not seeing a little tiny snow pile on the inside. So with that, I'll hand it back to Ava, unless anybody has any questions.
I do just have
Sure, James.
one follow-up. You have in the previous slide, you have the cost saving summaries. And everybody here, both on the board, at the district, and watching, is very focused on cost savings opportunities. I think this is worth putting a point on the value that these projects are providing, right? So we're talking about a building envelope ceiling cost of $11,000 savings, 110 savings, all budget neutral. These models, are they on today's energy costs? Or are you projecting forward energy cost increase?
It's a sliding scale, and I'll let Colleen answer that.
Thank
you. I'll have one more follow-up piece that I forgot.
For this project, we collected 3 years of utility bills and averaged them together to get a baseline electric consumption for every building. And that's what's used for this analysis. And moving forward, those prices are escalated at 3% annually. So not today's exact rates, but 3% is generally a good indicator of where utility costs are going.
I actually think it's a very conservative. So that's a great escalator. 3% is a great escalator. And I think these savings will improve, which is the point I was trying to get across.
Yes.
Thank you for that clarification.
And then, as Ava said, it's a partnership, and you have a limited budget to develop projects, and subs have the same limited budget too. So lighting is a huge project, and we do our best to kind of audit every building, and then we come up with a line by line spreadsheet that's sometimes hundreds, thousands of points long. And that's what's in the contract, right? Those are the lights that are in the contract. But oftentimes, as I said, there's like the bathroom that's behind a room that's nobody saw or nobody even uses. Or, I think we were walking around with Dan kind of early on. And he's like, I forgot to add the outbuildings here that are concession. And then there's another utility here on the grounds. And, those are rooms that we'll add and capture. And the project starts and always ends, it's a guaranteed price and there is no change orders. So it is, the price is the price. And, you know, we're not change ordering Dan for the rooms here and there that didn't make the audit.
Thanks, Dan. I mean, sorry. Well, yes, thanks, Dan, but thanks, Brian. Okay, so what next? We are talking about phase 2, and I just wanted to kind of give you a little overview of why we're back here, aside from to talk about how wonderfully phase 1 went. So a few months back, there was beginnings of conversations about a roof replacement for this high school. And in addition to the roof needing to be replaced, maybe there was some conversations about rooftop units needing to be replaced. So Dan called us and said, hey guys, we'd really love to start talking about this. Nothing serious at this point, but we think maybe you should come back to the board and give an overview of what a mechanical assessment would look like. How do we get started? So we did, I don't exactly remember the time frame of when it was, but the letter of intent for us to move forward with an engineering study was in December of 2025. So back up a little bit. When we were talking about the rooftop replacement at the high school, one of the RT rooftop unit coils froze and cracked and flooded one of the second floor classroom wings. So it turns out it was pretty timely that we were starting to talk about replacing some of these units. We also just learned that one of the other rooftop units, a compressor broke. So, you know, they are by ASHRAE standards, which is our industry standard, it is time to start talking about these heavy pieces of equipment that have started to age out. While we were talking about the high school rooftop units, Daniel J. Bakey Elementary School had some challenges with their air handler that is responsible for the kitchen. So I realize that there's a lot of acronyms up here, but the ones really to pay attention is RTU means rooftop unit, AHU means air handler unit, and we're talking about both the high school and Bakey Elementary. So they were all kind of built around the same time or installed around the same time, so they're all at the end of their useful life. So again, December 2025, we started our mechanical assessment for just the high school because we had an engineer walking around here and Bakey was starting to fail. We threw the air handler at Bakey into the mechanical assessment as well. So the last time we were here, we presented to the Finance and Facilities Committee, and they asked that we present our findings to both the rooftop units at the high school and at Bakey. So as Colleen, the main focus really for tonight is Bakey. We would like to come back and maybe do more of an in-depth assessment of the high school, but we wanted to also just give you an overview because that is what we promised when we said we would come back to give an update on the mechanical assessment. So as Colleen is presenting, a few things to keep in mind. Timeline, we're in a school, so obviously kids, staff, teachers are in here most of the year except in the summertime. So we try to do most of our construction work during that time period. Obviously, it's not very long. So lead times for these pieces of equipment are typically pretty long. They are specialized to the building, so they're not something that we can just pull off the shelf. They are specific to this school, or Bakey in this case too. We do go a 3-bid process for every single project that we do. So I know that's one of the priorities of this board, something to keep in mind we are on top of. Brian said it earlier in phase 1, there are no change orders. When we tell you a price, that is the price. We'll never come back to you for more money. And then the guaranteed savings aspect of it and incentives and rebates, which you have already realized from phase 1. So a lot to keep in mind, a lot of information, but Colleen is awesome at explaining things and making them understandable.
Well, I will try my best tonight. Thank you all for your time. I'm going to get into talking about Bakey Elementary School. This slide is pictures of current conditions. So on your right, this is a view of the inside of the kitchen. We're going to talk about the rooftop unit that serves this space. And those are the two photos on the center and on the right. I'm sorry, what? Oh. Oh, sorry. My left and right. Sorry. I'm an engineer in numbers. Okay, so the function of this unit is to make up the air that these kitchen exhaust fans get out of the building when there's smoke or heat when people are using that space. Now, currently, this unit is 36 years old, and it is at the end of its useful life. Dan has been limping this unit along all winter to ensure that there is heat for the kitchen, but those pieces and parts will continue to break. You can also see that the ductwork is currently wrapped in a tarp. There are holes in it. So not all the air or all the energy that's being consumed by this unit is actually going into the building. Well, in Maine, they'd say that's the flag if it was blue. But in all seriousness, this unit is very much, in need of replacement. So each one of these boxes kind of represents a piece of the scope of work. So it's not just as simple as pulling off a unit, like Ava said, finding it on a shelf and putting it back on. We've been working with Dan for several months, engineering a solution. We've presented multiple designs, and this is the final design. So firstly, we will replace this unit with a new direct fired propane makeup air unit. We've considered energy and operational efficiency in this design. For example, your current unit is 10,000 CFM, and we are able to select a unit that can modulate but in 2 speeds and only recover the air that's needed. So 10,000 was a little bit more than you needed. In addition, we're going to replace 2 of the 3 exhaust fans. These support the the wall hood and the dishwasher. The center hood is not used as often, so it's going to remain in place. These units will be controlled using a microprocessor. That's what's going to tell the unit how much air to send. I showed you a picture of that ductwork. That will be completely removed and replaced with double-walled insulated ductwork. In addition, we always want to leave our projects safe and serviceable. Currently, this unit sits, and it's hard to see, this picture is very small, I apologize. This unit sits within 6 inches of the side of the roof. So anyone who needs to access the doors on the other side has to literally crouch down and kind of risk it to get by. So we will be putting up a safety railing around that corner as part of our project.
Not only is it a fall risk, right, but 6 inches, most people aren't allowed to go up there and work on the equipment unless there's an area to put a safety harness on and tie off, which we don't have that capability on this.
The number is 6 feet. Nobody should be able to maintain, look, or even touch that thing without being tied off, which you can't. And that puts district staff at risk of an OSHA violation, which we can't allow.
Very good points. I have another 2 photos on here I'll cover quickly. Again, in the view of energy and operational efficiency, this unit's primary goal is to replace the air the exhaust fans are using. But you're not always having those on. You're not always cooking in the kitchen. So why turn on this very large unit when you can have a small kitchen heater? So that is an additional element that doesn't exist now, but would definitely improve the energy efficiency of operating that kitchen. This unit is, like I said, direct fired by propane, and the propane tanks would need to be replaced. This is a small additional cost, but in the long run, over many conversations with Dan, best for the district to move in this direction. Does anyone have any scope of work or existing condition questions before I move on?
James, you want to talk about the need to continue oil and propane? I think that was good.
Yeah. So for those who have reviewed our overall capital, I don't know where to look. I'll look at you. For those who have reviewed our overall capital improvement plans, there's a much larger, much more expensive project on our medium-term about replacing all of the air handler units for the Bakey School to provide heating and cooling, which is really important. One of my concerns or questions, right, about this proposal was we have to do something now. I want to make sure that we are not limiting our future decisions on technologies, on pricing, on manufacturers. And this proposal allows us flexibility to do a variety of things in the future. So we are not limited with our already medium-term capital plan improvements by moving ahead with this project in the near term. Yes, that was my other big point. This is very important to me. Right now, and this is true for most homeowners or business owners, the propane tanks are rented by a propane provider, which is a great deal, except it marries you to the provider of that specific propane tank. And as we all know, especially today, different propane providers have a very different pricing approach. So by owning new tanks at a fairly small incremental cost, has to be done anyhow, that gives Dan and his team the ability to intelligently shop for the lowest price propane, which in my view, Dan, and I trust you on this, will certainly well exceed the ownership costs of the two new tanks in their lifespan. Absolutely.
Okay. Thank you. I will move on to the second item. So this is a different scope of work, same building. So currently, and I don't know if Dan wants to tell his experience, but this boiler plant was redone a few years. And as part of that project, there were no fuel oil pumps installed to deliver fuel oil from the underground fuel tank to the boilers. You can sometimes just rely on pressure, but in this case, that does not work. So what happens is, most of the time, one boiler will run. There are two, and that's okay. But when we have these really cold days, it needs to turn on the second boiler. And when it does that, it actually starves the first one because it's sending some fuel to the second, and it shuts them both off. So then there's no heat being generated for the building. And an alarm goes off. It goes to Dan's phone. He's got to get out of bed in the middle of the night, turn the school back on. Luckily, he lives around the corner, but you may not be always as lucky as that. I don't. Right. So, as our partnership, we are trying to help Dan with all his pain points. This is one of them. The correct solution is to have a very small tank that sits in the boiler room. So you have 10,000 gallons out in the yard. It fills this 25-gallon tank, and then it knows when the second boiler comes on, you'll never have that starvation again. This will guarantee that. So it's a fully designed solution. We would install this day tank, is what it's called, with pumps. And if there's anybody that has any more questions, happy to answer those now.
Just real quick, this should have been engineered when we originally put those boilers in. Problem we had is when we put these boilers in, it was during COVID. So there's very limited supply on everything. And to get these boilers done during that time period was a nightmare because all the factories shut down and there was nothing. So we were able to put this together during COVID, minus those day tanks, hoping that these boilers would function without the day tank. Well, as we're finding out, it wasn't working out that way. So hence the reason why we're investing in these day tanks to improve the system, obviously, for something that was lacking during COVID and supply chain issues.
I have one more quick comment on what fully engineered means to me. Well, Dan, I'm delighted that you will have to get out of bed less often in the middle of the night. It also allows these units to operate more efficiently and more effectively to extend their life cycle. It is not good. Think about any motor, any engine. When you're starving it is harming the operation. So it's good from the operational perspective to extend the lifespan. It's also really important from the bidding perspective. When we looked at this opportunity at our last meeting, one of the concerns that the Facilities and Finance Committee highlighted was a very wide variation in vendor bids. And when we dug into it, it was that they had all provided different scopes. So not only has the Siemens team provided, an optimized operational plan, it has assured us that when we're choosing vendors, we are getting the same apples to apples comparison or same products and services. And that's really important.
And one that is engineered also, correct?
Right.
Because a lot of vendors will come in and they have got a guy that's been doing it for 20 years, says, that's all you need.
I got this in the back of my truck.
Yeah, exactly. That's why we have Siemens on board with this for the actual engineering.
Yeah, it takes the risk off the school district for believing or hearing a certain solution and moves that liability to us because we have a performance guarantee. If Dan finds that this boiler is tripping out next winter, it'll be Brian and I's. We will be here. Yeah, we will be up here at 3 a.m. turning it back on. So it's a great segue. Thank you. This is an example of what we're talking about with 3 bid process. So Siemens puts an engineered solution together working with the district. We put this out to bid to mechanical contractors and they bid on the work. So this is an apples to apples. Everybody got the same piece of paper. And so we interview each one of these contractors and walk down the scope and ensure that they are qualified to do this work, that they are capable, that they have asked the right questions, and we make recommendations. So my recommendation today is to do both projects together. And you'll probably saying to yourself, well, these don't add up, right? Because there's efficiency. When you do projects together, you get to share a project manager, the same teams on site, etc. So 315 plus 63 is not 372. If you do the project together, it is $372,000 and 990. So I will pause there and let you guys consider these projects.
It just so happens that the lowest bidder on this project was only the most qualified person. So Siemens just doesn't go with the low bidder. They don't. It's either one. We're sure that we got the best contract from.
So do we have in order to consider this, we need a motion.
Yeah, I'll make a motion to approve the expenditure of $372,990 utilizing Northern Peabody for the work required at the DJ Bakey School to be taken out of year-end funds.
Can I make a friendly amendment before a second?
Sure.
Could I add an additional owner direct budget between $10,000 and $15,000 for the tanks themselves?
I so do amend. How's that?
Did you get that, Phyllis? So amended. And you
second then.
Okay. So we can discuss now. Just to be very clear, because it took me a while to get this and I had an extra hour to think about it. 2 projects. The kitchen thing with the air handling and the boiler thing. Both need to be done before winter. They're not nice to haves, right? And it's smarter and cheaper to do them together. That's it. Just level setting. Like I was like, what is this? Makeup air unit. Like, I don't know what that is. It's the kitchen thing. And the fuel tank, the day tank, and that's the oil thing, the heating thing. You get 2 things. 1 price.
James is going to get a little more technical.
I just wanted to give it the most.
There are 2 things.
I wanted to explain it
like
so the kids at Bakey could understand.
Yeah. So that's true. We spent some time at the Facilities and Finance Committee this week and our previous meeting digging into this. These are have tos, not want tos. If we want to keep the Bakey School open, which we do, and if we do it on this time frame, it allows the contractors to do their work in the summer months, which keeps labor costs significantly lower, reduces safety risk, and eliminates a bunch of other complications. I've looked at all this, and I think it's a good idea, and we should move ahead, is my opinion.
I think we should just move ahead because we can expect Dan to be in a better mood.
James, Rick, and I have had the advantage of hearing about this twice now. You guys just heard about it. So I want to make sure we give you space and time to have consideration. So please, questions, comments, anything.
What's the tank rental fee? Yeah, online. There, and the utility bill is there line.
It's minimal, as far as take rental goes. The problem we have is when we shop for propane every year, when we find a new vendor, the old vendor has to come take his old tank out, which means we have to pay to drain what's in there. Take the old tank out, and then the new vendor puts his new tank in, have to have it all recertified by the fire department, and the building inspector. Then we have to put the propane back in that we took out, which the vendor usually charges us more money because now he's holding that propane for us before he can give it to the other vendor. So that's the huge cost when we're shopping propane. Swap out of the tanks because the propane companies own those tanks. So if we change the contract every year, we have to tear out tanks back in, provided by that contract. So the cost is minimal. It's just, it really hamstrings us as far as the ability to shop for propane, knowing that we have to pay for all these additional costs every time we put it out to bid.
Yeah, the cost of the tanks in our discussions, the actual tanks are $500 each. The larger cost, and I think James will probably do a better job explaining this, the larger costs are to bury the tanks, right? And there's definitely benefits for that. The ROI is going to come from being able to shop, right? But there's an ROI just for the aesthetics of the building, safety aspect.
Yeah, to be fair, Ken, those tanks don't have to be buried. And that $10,000 to $15,000 budget, the majority of it is in excavation and landscaping to fix it. Those things are physically located adjacent to the playground at Bakey. I think the fences are ugly and need replacements anyhow. So it seems prudent at this time to me, especially knowing that I think we can recapture that in smart energy buying in a 5 to 7 year time frame. I bet you.
You also mentioned the longevity of the tanks.
Yes,
Stuff
stuff lasts longer underground.
Yeah, stuff lasts longer underground.
So so I'm clear, we are placing the tanks underground and subsurface tanks?
Well,
You should have been there earlier. I decided that on your behalf. I'm just kidding.
I think that
if you feel very differently,
No, I would love to have them underground, basically because we don't have to deal with concrete slabs and chain link fencing and
that's
everything
right.
else. And aesthetically, it does look great next to a playground. But if that's something, was that line item for above or below?
That would be for below.
Or below? Okay,
Yeah,
I just want to make sure that
Yep,
that's
totally. So that's why I was, happy to talk about this more with you. I know you can be there, but
yeah,
that seemed like a great budget to me.
Yes.
And life cycle. I
And we
think
can
it
move
makes
those tanks
tons of sense
further out, in my opinion. So if
Yeah.
we do have
because it messes up
seeping into the
and it messes up your clearances with stuff you can do outside the building. So I feel very confident in that as long as you do, Dan.
Okay, thank you.
And as the only person who hasn't spoken, I just want to say it is clear to me these are necessary expenses that we need to make this decision hastily to get the project going for the summer. And it was so thoroughly researched and presented.
And the equipment costs do go up until we lock in, to their point, right? So that's the point of locking in. Because it's got to be ordered. Ken, do you have anything else?
did we discuss funding source?
I did. I put in my motion.
You put in your
Unanimous.
motion,
Yep. James second.
James second.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, so if we have no further discussion, all in favor? Okay, unanimous for those present. All right.
Thank you.
We will move again.
I'm sorry, what?
Yeah, you're going to continue
I am, yes.
going to continue it to go into the future.
Yes. So we just spoke about a rooftop unit that met a critical point in its life where it needed to be replaced. And the remainder of my presentation is going to be about being proactive. And it's spurred on by a few events, but we're definitely in a good position to discuss this now. So this building was built about 21, 22 years ago. And so every piece of equipment in this building is that old. And rooftop units, the heating, ventilation, and air conditioning in this school have about a 20-year life. So you can keep, like Dan does, replace pieces and parts, but that adds up over time.
and things are never going to be as cheap as they are today. Costs of material, labor, all of that rises annually. So the first thing we did is a mechanical assessment. Actually, I don't know, Dan, do you want to talk any more about the maintenance that you've been doing or the recent rooftop unit 2?
Just other than they're getting costly, like, we had 2 compressors go out on our RT2 today. It cost me about $15,000 to fix that, so. The boxes that are up there were within 10 miles of the ocean, salt water, they start rusting and deteriorating. So even though I'm replacing pieces and parts within them, the units themselves are starting to deteriorate.
Yes. So we could spend several hours going through each one, but what I really wanted to say is that we give your 15 rooftop units a fair grade, which means that they should be replaced within 2 to 5 years. And this is a little list of the things that we found. And I did include some highlights about, what does that actually mean? That the belt needs to be replaced. Like, what is the effect of that? So I won't run through all of these, but it is very clear to us that these units are not operating efficiently, and it is not efficient for your operational budget to keep putting good money after bad. So this is a list I wanted to include in the presentation that we could go over more in detail. I won't do that today. There are little pictures of repairs that have been made. Those are the coils that we talked about flooding the second floor. Every time they burst, they have to be stripped and resoldered. And every time that happens, they become less and less efficient. So what we did is we had in January come to the board and said, we really need to do an energy assessment. And so we went through and we did the same thing that I did for Bakey. We got 3 bids for all these projects, and we said, okay, if you want to do it this year, if you don't want to wait 2 to 5 years, we can do that. And this is a timeline, not that just shows that these pieces of equipment take time to get here. So 10 to 12 weeks is an example of a piece of equipment. We would have had to order that piece at the end of February for it to arrive in time to be installed in the summer. So the same situation is going to happen next year. And I'm not going to spend a lot of time going through these, but you can see how as you move them forward, we're here now, May 6th, that 10 to 12 week lead time has surpassed the summer vacation. So it would land basically the beginning of summer. You would never be able to replace heating equipment during the winter. So we've kind of pushed past summer 2026. So how do we get to any summer 2027? I've put, this up here. Basically, if we want to order equipment for next summer, a motion should be made in December of 2026. So there's a gap here. This calendar isn't filled with anything, but it should be. More discussions, what have you, whatever the funding source is. That's that's our recommendation at least. Does anyone have any questions so far? Okay.
Just for a sense of rough scale, what's the dollar value we're talking about with the second order project?
Okay, I'm so glad you asked. I'm going to page through to that. I just want to show you that some units take 18 to 20, some take 16 to 18. And we've discussed pretty much at length, the cost of doing nothing, that the considerations you have to make the longer you wait, equipment costs rise, labor, lead times, etc. So in February, these numbers represent summer 2026 work. And what we do is we like to give options. So there are 9. I'm not going to go through all the way we sliced and diced this, but it's as simple as replacing like for like, adding air conditioning where there is not air conditioning, just adding ventilation. There's a lot that goes into this. So we have put projects up, and I'm going to page, I think what James is asking is, what's the most, maybe? Is that what you're?
I think, floor and ceiling, just so
Yeah.
everybody understands what we're talking about, why we want several months to consider the funding source?
Yes, absolutely. So this is a great slide to answer that question. What is the floor and the ceiling? So option 1A, this like for like 15 unit replacement, we give a 10% range because we got 3 bids and this is the middle bid. This isn't the high one, this isn't the low one. So those are those prices. So we're saying around 6.31 million for 15 units in a like for like situation. That's not getting any additional benefits. So option 3A is adding air conditioning to the entire school. So a lot of the classrooms don't have air conditioning, for example. It's really restricted to the gym, the admin areas, some computer labs. It's not where the majority of the students are all day. So if you're going to replace units, usually you want to get a little bit more for your money while you're doing it. So we have the ceiling around 10 million. Yeah. Yeah. That's a great thing. So we always want to use good infrastructure. And you have a lot of good ductwork that has way more than a 20-year life. We don't want to rip that out. However, you can't just send cold air down ductwork. It has to be insulated, it has to be sized correctly, and the ductwork is only currently being used for heating. So there's a way to get around that is that you can condition the air with something called the DX coil. So it has refrigerant in it. It's not capable of drawing the air temperature down to say 60, but it is capable of removing the moisture. So a lot of times you always say, like in New England, it's not the heat that kills you, it's the humidity. So there is an option here in the middle where we're not fully cooling the students down to maybe 68, but it could be, 75 and 40% humidity, which would feel to you really comfortable. So that's why when I say we look at this a lot of ways, that is that center option. That's correct.
I did want to mention too, something that we talked about many times ago. But when we say like for like, that's in as much as modern up to code equipment can be like for like, right? So if we truly did like for like, we're not allowed to really do a one-to-one like for like, because those things are now out of code. They're, you know what I mean? So like,
Yeah.
I feel like it's important to note that there, it only underscores the need to replace these things, that were we to do them today, we couldn't even purchase units truly equivalent to what they are. That's how out of date they are.
And for what it's worth, the last classroom I teached in, good. I'm having a good night.
It wasn't ELA.
I taught in.
I'm hoping.
Okay.
All right.
When I was over at Timberlane, had the dehumidification system over there, which is probably 25 years older than the systems that are now, and it was very effective. And that includes when I was running summer school, and we would just use the back hallway on the shady side, and it was livable even on 90+ degree days when you had the dehumidified air. So it's very, very effective for that.
Thank you. So I have left, the different options. What we had presented all of this in February, so I wanted to keep it in here. But our message here today is just this is a number you can start to plan around, and then we're here to develop this as needed. At this time, I think Ava, this is kind of concludes the technical portion. Do you want to move on to the, so our next slide is really just you've checked off the Bakey. We've talked about Sanborn and, how do we get to that, the next project if you so want to go forward.
Can you just answer the question, just so we cover it? Why replace them all? Why not just do one at a time?
Yes. So mobilizing for this building requires a crane. And so if you're going to bring a crane on site, you should do it once. It is very expensive and you need the building to be completely unoccupied. So you can only do it in the summer. So it is more cost effective to do all of this at once while you have crews on site. That is my biggest proponent for doing it together, especially with financing rates. If you're going to have if you're going to go that direction, obviously borrowing more money all at once might be the best thing to do. It's something to consider.
And it should be noted as well, we've been talking about this, like, how long?
We started,
2 years?
yeah, I mean, you brought me through this building in 2024. So yes.
So one of the first things that we asked in the finance and facilities subcommittee meetings was, well, we're looking at, $6, $8, $10 million, right? Which is, a lot for what we're talking about in our community. We're like, well, why can't Dan just, keep replacing this over here and throwing a tarp on that over there and so on and so forth and see how far we can get with that. And we asked for concrete numbers. We said, Dan, how much are you spending on these things per year? What does that look like? And that's why we sort of haven't done anything yet, because up until this point, it was more efficient and cost effective to just do what we were doing probably. But there are diminishing returns, and we can't do that forever. So now we really bring this forward because we're going to have the hard conversation about, literally pulling the Band-Aids off and just doing it.
And then you start talking about availability of parts to replace these units.
Right.
I'd like to make no, I'm kidding. No. I think there's a lot of questions. For me, we got to keep presenting the information, but we are going to have to make a decision on moving forward. This building is the future of the district. It's, in my opinion, respectfully, it's got to be taken care of. And I think the only question is, how are we funding it? And that's something that the board's going to have to decide and engage the community. But this is something that's going to have to be done.
Yep. Does anybody have any more questions or comments for our friends at Siemens before we move on? Okay.
Yeah, just like to say thanks to Siemens. I mean, they've delivered on everything that they've told us they were going to, and they continue to come here and spend multiple hours trying to educate us. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll take a minute here. Okay. We'll move on to 7.4, the Zeal invoice. We have a question about an outstanding invoice from Zeal, which is the partners that the company that we partner with in our superintendent search.
I think I can speak to that.
Yeah.
We did receive an invoice that had not previously been approved by the board for an additional $2,615.47 for various travel expenses. I did share pretty much every document we had on Zeal up to this point. The one in particular is labeled, I believe it's labeled signed exhibit order form. And at the bottom of page 1, it says the Sanborn Regional School District must approve travel expenses in advance. Any approved travel reimbursements must be reconciled and submitted on a monthly basis to be eligible for reimbursement. That would be any driving language toward paying this bill. But as we've done in all along the way with every step of this, we've asked the board to approve each of those payments.
So the only question that I had with, I'll make a motion for it. I'll make
A motion to consider?
I'll make a motion to consider. Yeah, that sounds good. I'll make a motion to consider. I gotta make something so we can discuss it.
Yeah.
I'll make a motion to approve pending verification with Zeal of a couple questions. Unless that's already been done.
Second, so we can talk about it.
Sure. Thank you. So I guess the only question I had, there was mileage reimbursement and a car rental on the same day. What did Zeal say when you asked them about that?
I didn't specifically ask them about that. I believe that the two gentlemen were coming from two different places, one from the western suburbs of Boston, and the other one was coming up from the Hartford area.
That's my only question. If they rented a vehicle, that's, I would say that would be fine. But if they rented a vehicle and are turning in mileage reimbursement, and they drove together, I would not approve that.
I do not believe that was happening. I think
I didn't
that
see any names on any bills or anything, and I didn't see names on who's requesting what. So that would be my only question on the bill.
Okay. It looks like the car rental and the trip from the Connecticut area were the same, roughly the same day. It looks like the car rental was turned in on the 30th of October. And then there was another occasion where I believe the gentleman coming up from the Boston area came up either on a bus. I think he actually rode the train.
Yep.
Up to Exeter and probably met
Yeah,
the other
I
guy.
just couldn't tell from the document whether or not it was the same person or two people. So that's my only question.
They appeared to me to be the same. Yeah.
The same person?
Sorry, that's a good point. Separate people.
Okay, we just need to verify it. That's my only concern. I can't tell from the documents that were submitted with the invoice if I'm paying somebody for
Double
mileage reimbursement and it could be completed in a 5-minute phone call or 1-minute email.
We can certainly do that. Yeah.
That's my only question on it.
Yep. I'm trying to find it.
If would it satisfy the rest of the board if Zeal were to confirm that this is separate expenses?
In writing,
Yep.
in writing.
In writing?
Yeah.
Yep.
All right, then I just say, well, we voted to approve pending that verification, so we can,
So that was
Right.
my motion.
oh, yeah, you moved to approve pending certain questions.
Yep. Okay.
And so I think we can vote on that now. All in favor?
Yeah.
Yeah, good. That thing to bed. Oof. Okay. Boy. I'm getting there.
Avocado.
Okay. Yeah, it is time for first public comment, if we have one. Hello. Please state your name, town, and your business here.
My business. Hi, guys. I'm Megan Doggett. I live in Kingston. I have 2 children in the school district. I'm here tonight to reflect a little bit and talk about the future. I made a public comment for the first time at the school board meeting 11 months ago. It was June of last year. I could see the district facing numerous challenges, and I suggested creating a working group of staff, parents, and community members to grow engagement, talk openly about our financial constraints and priorities, so that all the amazing opportunities that exist in our district hopefully do not go away. My intention then and now is to work collaboratively with all of you and positively impact the district. I took the lead to launch this group, and it took until January of 2026, but the Sanborn Community Organization did form. And in 5 months, we will have had 5 meetings. We meet for the 5th time next week here on the 13th, 6 o'clock. We have created a community with a core group of members that represents actually parents, staff, and community members all attending in that meeting. We have a clear vision and 3 areas of focus. I am energized and I'm still here and showing up and doing this because of all those people who continue to show up to all those meetings. In January, when we launched this idea, Dawn was the chair at the time, and she suggested 2-way communication from the board to the SCO through the PR subcommittee and that chairperson in particular. I thought that made so much sense, as I didn't expect the board to attend all of those meetings, and I didn't want to be expected to attend all of these meetings to be the messenger. At the time, we developed what we were calling the SCO meeting recap document. So Sam and I at the time went to the January PR committee and we asked for feedback on that document. And we were told at the time it was succinct and a helpful way to communicate what was happening at the meetings. So March came, new elections, new subcommittee assignments. I realize all that's happening, but I am here tonight to ask for continued engagement between the SEO and the board, in particular the PR subcommittee. I'd really like to fully operationalize that plan of that two-way communication through the PR subcommittee. I do believe a strong collaborative relationship with the school board is necessary and important for the SEO. I did want to recognize that many of you have attended an SEO meeting over the last few months, and a few of you have even presented to the group. I think it's an awesome opportunity to come as a fellow parent and resident in front of that group, help educate. And to me, that truly defines community engagement, and it's been great. I specifically am here tonight to give some examples. I would love more feedback on that monthly recap. I would love to hear more dialogue at this meeting, facilitated by the PR subcommittee on the different things we are discussing. And we are planning for the future. At our meeting next week, we're going to talk about, I'm asking for ideas of what people want for meeting agendas, who they'd like to come and speak on what kind of topics to keep going. We decided a monthly cadence going forward next school year at our last meeting. So I just think the synergy of the school board having a goal of building community engagement, trust, and transparency this year, that really establishing two-way communication between the board and the SEO is one way to achieve that. So just wanted to kind of reflect as we get towards the end of the year and ask for continued partnership next year as that group continues to meet and hopefully grow. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And Megan, you have been extremely patient and have put forth a lot of effort. So the board recognizes that, and we do thank you.
Thank you. Been fun.
Any other public comment before we move on to old business? Okay. Let's move on to the summer enrichment program update.
Okay. So we did a survey, both initially of parents who had gone through the program previously a couple weeks ago, and then I updated that and sent it to everybody in the community after we made a couple of changes based on the responses we got. And you guys have seen those responses. Just to give you a quick summary. There's a summary there of the comments, which I think are really telling at the bottom of that document, where people gave the feedback that they did to the program. Let me just find that particular piece. And I think that a couple of thoughts. There is some concern about looking for a full day program, which obviously adds a whole layer of expense and sort of strategic or logical work involved in doing a full day program, or a longer day, more like an 8 to 2 o'clock thing. Some people are looking for a later time frame in the summertime or an earlier time frame in the summertime. They did recommend some camps that we did have in mind anyway, which was kind of a good thing. And one that came up quite a bit, of course, was theater camp, which has been very successful in the past. They are a little concerned. The expression was that the $300 that we were sort of hinting at might be a little bit high for people. And I understand that the other camp opportunities around here may be less expensive than that, but with the remit from the board to try to basically break even on the process, and the need that I feel really strongly of having an administrative presence here at camp, adding a layer of expense to the program. We can always run the camp at a deficit if that's what the will of the board is. But if we're running with the idea of breaking even, that's going to be difficult to lower that cost. And let's see. I do, just to going back to the summary, I do have a volunteer amongst the assistant principal group to help facilitate the prep for the camp, as well as to be at the sessions. It does line up with that person's summer vacation plans, the dates that we've looked at previously. I've had some significant camp ideas come in from, excuse me, from some members of our teaching staff right now, with a camp about bugs, a camp Hogwarts, which actually went over very well last year, Harry Potter camp, a field day camp, an art camp, a couple of writing camps, one, teaching kids to use cursive and typing and so forth. The drama camp, I did hear from the folks that ran that the last couple of years, as I knew I would, and a college essay / sort of college level writing course that would be facilitated by one of our high school English teachers. So that's we did get a fairly good response. And I think those are camps that we've seen interest in previously. I think the one kind of gap that I see there is I don't see kind of STEAM robotics kind of camp, and we can work on nudging people if we get an approval to kind of go forward with this. The one suggestion that I got, and one I think that we might want to really think about that I would be okay with, would be the theater camp running a little bit longer. They're willing to take that on. They've expressed that they would be okay with camp being here in the high school. We're looking at the other camps being at Memorial because that allows the assistant principal to be at Memorial during special ed ESY. And there's also a nurse at Memorial, which we wouldn't have here. But they would be in the air-conditioned auditorium, and they might even choose to run longer. And I think we would look at negotiating that possibility with them. They feel like they need more time to prep because they basically put the show up on the Thursday of the second week during the day. I believe that's what they've done before. Let's see, we did get the director. It would be my suggestion that we move forward with this, but the risk is that we don't get the registration we want. That doesn't work. My suggestion would be, without thinking about it too much, was that the checks be due for registration, and we would be cutting camps that don't have enrollment levels reasonably by June 10th. And that we would not be obligated to give refunds if people choose to back out of the camp after that June 10th day. That'd be sort of a double deadline there of your checks are due by the 10th and you can pull out by the 10th. So that's kind of a first come, first serve. But if you decide on June 10th you want to be there, we might be able to fill that slot with another kid, or we might be able to just refund everybody because we don't have the camp. That gives parents roughly a month, a little longer than that, actually roughly 4 weeks to prepare for the fact that their kid will not be attending that. We would, if a student got a long-term illness or something that it couldn't attend, I would say we kind of write it up so that the superintendent or whomever, maybe the director of the program, would have the ability to refund a check based on your kid breaks his leg and he can't show up for drama camp. Some irony there. Then we'd be able to give the refund for that. So that would be the structure, I would think. It's just, there is always the possibility because you don't know what the math is going to be. But right now we're kind of set up to break even at a $300 a week tuition.
Do we need to do? This thing already runs, right? Like, it's not like we need to. Was there a motion that we needed to make for this? Or we were just asking you to look into this thing?
Yeah, the request last time was to look into it. I think it would be good to have a motion to kind of back up.
Okay.
Because I feel for, the person who would be taking on the organization and not feeling if the math doesn't work out the way we think and it loses money, that there's some guilt there. We're not risking a huge amount of money here in the long run, and it does provide a service for parents.
Yeah. I think the motion, there's a couple things I heard that I didn't like. So it's just me though. So I mean, you want to make a motion?
Yeah, I'll make a motion to move forward with the model for summer enrichment that the superintendent is proposing, pending questions and clarifications as needed.
Yep.
Thank you.
And I'd like to just amend that, if I can amend it.
Please.
I would say that the board should be presented with clear policies outlining the payment, the refunds, that could be the circumstances around refunds within, 7 business days of today, if we're going to approve it, because amend and then we'll discuss.
Okay.
That's my amendment.
Resecond the amendment. Okay.
Okay.
So
So
Rick has Ken second amendment. Okay.
my only concern is I heard we're not giving refunds after the 10th, but maybe we'll give refunds if there's a circumstance. That's not a policy. That's a problem. So I think we just need very clear definition of, if it's June 10th, there's no refunds, then there's no refunds, because then you're going to have either the superintendent or the person running the program having to deal with a variety of excuses and reasons that may be valid to some and not valid. I think it's a recipe for disaster. So I just try to land on one policy. That's my only.
Yeah.
thought. That's all.
So
Good
are
enough.
you
Agree.
saying no refunds at all?
I don't like that either. I think the last time I was here, I said, if there was a circumstance where the child couldn't attend, that we would, hold the money for the next year's, hold the money for the next year's program, or give them a discount, 50% discount the following year, something like that. I don't like, things come up, right? Like kids miss appointments. My kids miss appointments. I have to travel. My wife has to. We pay copays because of that. I don't think strapping people in this economic time is ideal. That's all. That's my only thought on it. There should be something there. That's all.
No, I agree. I think half of the problem was we were giving refunds and we just weren't making the revenue that we anticipated.
So maybe it's no refunds, but we will provide a discount on the following year's program, right? Whatever discount that is, I'll let you guys talk about that with the admin team, or that's just an idea, right? I just I understand that we need the money to fund it.
Right.
Just I don't like, your money's gone. But that's just me. So if everybody, if you don't agree, speak up.
I think it's okay to say no refunds. And I think if that poses problems, that's information we can use to revamp the program or the policies next year. What we've been doing isn't working and we need to change something. And parents can have an informed decision that they make that says, okay, I know that I'm signing up for this, risking that I am not getting a refund should something happen. And if we don't get the enrollment because of that, then that also gives us information.
I mean, is it possible we can do a refund, up to a certain point? Like, you sign up.
June 10th.
Yeah.
That's
June
what-
10th.
Yeah. thing.
To be
You can
clear,
get a refund prior to that.
Right.
Yeah. So
to
if
be
you like
clear,
June,
I'm for the no refund. I'm not for the no refund forever.
Can I just,
Should be.
But you can get a refund prior to.
hold on, I want to understand the scope of the problem. Marie, you mentioned that this was an issue last year, like,
More people decide not to come to camp than you realize.
yeah, that's what I'm trying to understand. Like,
Yes.
what is the
I
scope?
think you're going to have 10 kids on a camp. You probably end up with 2 to 3 dropping out on multiple camps. That's
Mhm.
quite a few
And,
kids.
and that, so it's a high percentage.
Yes.
Great. And did we previously have, like, what I think the proposal on the table is your sign up day starts whatever tomorrow, and then you have until June 10th to provide payment, which secures your seat,
Mhm.
and that's potentially the point of no return.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And
I think
we,
that's a totally reasonable
Agreed.
approach.
Me too.
And I think it's clean. I think it's simple. It provides optionality for the next 4 or 5 weeks. And if there is an emergency scenario, I think we can take that as it comes, but it would have to be like a documented emergency. But like,
Nothing is preventing anyone from asking us if they have an emergency. We could cross that bridge when it comes.
I mean, that Rick is right to
Yeah.
state that provides a level of uncomfortability, discomfort.
well,
That's
that's
the word.
gray. The
Right.
policy should be.
I think that's right. And then we move on.
So I can submit my $300 and secure my spot on June 1st.
Yep.
And then I can tell you on June 2nd, oops, no, I want my money back and you're going to give it to
You
me.
tell them on
Correct.
June 9th.
Whatever.
Yeah.
But not on June 10th.
Correct.
Okay. I like
And,
it.
and the reason why,
like
just
it.
for everybody's clear, the reason why is when previous years happen and people drop out, and that's fine, that actually puts the burden on every single district
Mhm.
member. And that's the unfair burden that we're trying to avoid.
Mhm.
Totally reasonable.
Mhm.
Next problem.
Yeah. So I think we're good, right? The motion was to approve pending policies.
yeah, this is great. This is the feedback I'm looking for. It's super helpful and it's putting minds together. And I can write that up pretty quickly and try to get it to you in the next couple days.
And are we married to 8 a.m. to 2 p.m.?
Right now we're at 8:30 to noon.
Right.
Because that was the most common feedback in the survey and in other conversations with members of the public is that that's really challenging and we are hamstringing the potential attendance of a large number of people. The timing doesn't work and
The difficulty with going outside that time frame is not just the feeding the kids. That's a problem, but it's not a huge one. It's every hour that the staff members are here. If you have, let's say, 2 staff members per group, is about $80 an hour in expense to pay those teachers plus benefits and so forth. So that's where the tricky part comes, is it does tend to increase the cost up to the level of, a full-on Camp Lincoln week kind of thing, which we can go to, but we'd probably, I would have to look at the numbers again, but we might be looking at 400 if we don't, if our drive is still to break.
I don't think we have the calendar time to change things for this summer. I think all of this feedback is really useful from this survey to think about changing things for next summer.
Yep. And the only one is, I'm just thinking of it now, is if the theater camp were to go a little longer, that one might bump up a little bit in cost. And so they might have a different cost structure, but it's, it might be $100 extra or something like that for theater camp. But then I believe they're looking at more like an 8:30 to 2 o'clock kind of time frame. And they would be very self-contained. I can see Dan freaking out over there, to the auditorium. We'd keep them in the auditorium and the restrooms during the course of the day. They'd eat in there and they would do the whole day right in there. Good point.
I saw that there was some comments too about like high school student volunteers rather than it all being paid faculty. I think those are great ideas to explore too. But again, for next summer, right? It's like we have to say what we were doing wasn't working, try to do something that feels guaranteed to work, this amount of money, no refunds, see if we get the enrollment, and then go from there in terms of continuing to build this program as something that works and is a service we can offer.
Yeah, June 10th also helps the teachers to plan for their summer as well.
Okay, so all in favor of the motion to approve the plan pending policies delivered soon? Okay, unanimous.
Thanks, everybody.
You're not off the hot seat yet. SLC meeting.
Yes. Dates. You want to do that one?
You got it.
Okay. All right. Let me find my little notes here. Heather Ingham, Marie, and I met with SLC's leadership team on April 20th, as the board had requested. Ultimately, what we were able to determine after a bit of a conversation is that their concern is actually more with the MOU that is between the memorandum of understanding, to get away from acronyms, between Sanborn, the SLC, and the Newton Police Department, as far as the interaction with their school with the SRO that is actually an officer of the Newton Police Department. So the leaving of Officer Olje from Newton full-time has led Newton, because of the staffing concerns they have in all police departments in New Hampshire are having, in getting somebody consistently in the building as an SRO every single day. So that's more of a person changing every day. They have not seen a lot of contact with the SRO, even though that person is on campus, which is helpful. It's not something they're seeing. And that's more of their concern, is how much they're seeing. Just wanted to give you an update on that. And we're going to reach out to SLC probably tomorrow and try to facilitate a meeting that would include Heather, ideally to have a conversation between the Newton PD and SLC and us, to figure out how to kind of settle the MOU part of it, not so much the contract itself. So that wouldn't open up anything as far as the payments they're making to us for the portion of the SRO that's in their contract, or their lease payments, or the energy or the facilities improvements and so forth that are part of that contract.
Okay. Let's move on to the band trip update.
The band trip. Interestingly enough, a couple days after Mr. Brad was here talking about the band trip last time, then the question was asked whether or not the dates could move. It turned out the dates had to move, because Universal Studios did not have availability on the dates that the tour company and Mr. Brad were looking at. The new dates that they're looking at are April 1st to 4th. That is a Thursday through a Sunday. It is conveniently prior to vacation weeks. It is prior to athletic season starting with competition. They will be at practice at that point, but there traditionally isn't competition. Maybe tennis might start on the 5th with matches, but it wouldn't pull kids out of track meets or baseball games or softball games, which could be a problem. And so while it's not completely nailed down with them, I did include the information. It's really just an updated version of the trip that they had before. So I'm fairly certain we approved the trip pending a look at that. So they've already had to change the dates. And I think and your concerns, I think, Mr. Edelman, we're talking about flight costs are going to be cheaper at that point, which they certainly are, having just flown this past week. It pulls away from athletic seasons and interrupting vacations. So good. So just an update on that. And once he has a nailed down trip itinerary and they have the dates completely nailed, we'll get back to you on that.
Okay, so 9.3 school board goals. We still have some time to send Bob. You were going to send you any amendments or ideas or specifics and notes on the goals as we've outlined them so far. You had a recommendation to me.
I did. It's something I was occurred to me when you emailed that this morning was that I would, as we're looking at the July meeting date, just to get ahead of that a little bit, I would recommend that the board strongly consider setting those goals, in conjunction with Adam as he comes on board. And it's very difficult from a district leadership level and also from a school leadership level, and actually harder from the school level. They tend to get together over the summer and say early August. And one of the things you want to traditionally do is say, what are our goals for the year? If the board hasn't done their goals and potentially a district leadership creating goals, that flow is there. I noticed in the policy that it said the goals should be set in May every year. And my assumption is at the time when I was looking at that, is that was the idea, is to have the board set the goals about 2 months into the board season, which then leads into district to be able to do their thing. So I would strongly encourage you as a group to look at trying to nail down some goals for the 26, 27 year, if you can, at that July 22nd meeting, or at least have a rough idea so they can go and work with that.
I think we have a very good start.
Yeah.
Good start. We have some good notes.
Yep.
Just want to make sure that we, if anybody has any more, I still think we only have commentary from Kathleen so far. So if anybody has anything, or at least email Bob and say, I no notes.
Yep.
That we know what we can move forward with.
Yep.
Kathleen, your edits they added value, so thank you.
And I'm operating at a disadvantage of sort of coming into this. So
Well, but-
I would love notes on my notes as far as what's realistic and
It could also be an advantage though,
fair.
because we're, half of us, more than half, have been, making assumptions because we've been in stuff, but the clarity and objectivity might not be there, which you're helping to provide, which I think is great. Okay, without further ado, second public comment.
July board meeting.
On the agenda.
Yes, we did. I'm not sure how it didn't end up on the agenda because we looked at this about 100 times. I don't believe that we ever firmly set that July 22nd meeting date as a real date. People were gonna check calendars and so forth, but I'm pretty sure we didn't approve it the last time.
Oh,
I thought we had, but it wasn't in the minutes
I thought
we
we
did.
did.
So
I don't remember.
I'll go with Phyllis's recollection that we
but-
didn't.
Yeah, July 22nd.
I think we kind of agreed to it, but we didn't quite move it.
Okay.
can we talk about it if it's not on the agenda?
Not really.
I don't think we really can.
Oh, not at my agenda.
What did I miss?
9.4.
I don't have a 9.
I don't have enough.
Oh, I have two 9.3s.
There's 2 numbers. That's me.
Okay.
I messed her up on that. What do we?
Was it in the publicly noticed
That's what
agenda?
I'm looking right now.
Yeah, if it is, then we're fine.
It is?
You got it?
Yeah.
All right. Let's vote, people.
We're in business.
All right. I'm probably just looking at the wrong thing. Somebody would like to make a motion to set the date? At the next board meeting?
I will not move because that is my least preferred date.
Ken? I'll make a motion to set the next, to set a board meeting. July 22nd, Wednesday at 6 PM. Here at the high school library. Thank you.
Okay.
We're not going to discuss this. All in favor?
Under duress.
We appreciate that. Team player. Team player.
I'm going.
Yeah,
to.
you could.
I won't be in the state.
Okay.
And you can be excused.
Now I would like to invite second public comment.
Hi, everybody. Scott Rollins from Newton. I don't have any children in the district. I'll make this really short and brief. So I've been attending the Board of Selectmen meeting for the town of Newton, and I think it would be highly beneficial, especially where we're talking about 85% of people in Newton and Kingston don't have students in the district, to get Sanborn's goals, information, and be more collaborative with the Board of Selectmen, because their meetings are really short. It can't hurt to bring something to the table to kind of tout how much stuff we're doing here at the school board meetings and what Sanborn's doing in general to the public that might not be watching this. So I just think that's really important, and I think it'll be very valuable for this group to be more involved with the Board of Selectmen. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comment? Okay. The next Sanborn Regional School Board meeting will be held on Wednesday, May 20th, 2026 at 6 p.m. in the library at Sanborn Regional High School. And the Budget Committee will convene on Thursday, May 14th, 2026 at 7 p.m. in the library at Sanborn Regional High School. Would someone like now to call us into non-public session?
I know, where's Heather?
Yeah, where's Heather?
She's at home doing it. She doesn't know why, but she's doing those very specific.
Yeah, she's feeling it all of a sudden. She's like, what? Yes, I'll help.
Say 90K, 43, Roman numeral 2-C.
C for transparency purposes is refers to matters which, if discussed in public, would potentially affect reputation of a person.
Second.
Thank you.
Oh, sorry.
What's a roll call?
Yes, we will roll call in James.
Yes.
Kathleen.
Yes.
Rick?
Yes.
Yes for me. Ken? Yes for Ken. Okay. Thank you, everyone. We are publicly adjourned.
Yeah.